It's time for Ringside. Got a bunch of news lined up for you, ladies and gentlemen, so without further ado, we're just gonna whack! On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said that while The Rock has teased WrestleMania 40 multiple times, he has not signed on just yet to wrestle on the show. What's more, in an interesting bit, Meltzer also said, quote, there are people who would like to convince him that if there is a ton of extra money in Saudi Arabia, then to do it there. He said Rock would rather do WrestleMania, but, quote, there are forces that are interested in how much value he could bring to Saudi Arabia. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are, okay? It doesn't matter what your allegiances are with WWE, Saudi Arabia, doesn't matter. The Rock in Saudi Arabia, it would bang, okay? In a more PG sense, it would bang, okay? And that is just from a completely objective, outside-looking-in standpoint. They would lose their minds if The Rock showed up in Saudi Arabia. So to say that that is not money just sitting out in the middle of the table, you're crazy. He hasn't signed on just yet. That's not really a gigantic deal, mainly because WrestleMania is not for another 2 months, so he doesn't immediately have to sign right now. Maybe they could, it's the same thing I said with the Drew McIntyre thing. Maybe it's part of the storyline. Maybe that's why he hasn't signed a whole bunch yet. Maybe it has to do with the fact that now he's on the board for TKO. You know, maybe that might have something to do with it. So he's kind of busy right now, kind of dealing with that, you know. So I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't really have enough time or wasn't really thinking about signing on to WrestleMania 40 just yet. So I'm not going to 100% rule it out. So, you know, again, he's pretty busy at the moment with the whole TKO signing thing. So we're just going to have to wait and see if that is something that he ends up doing. And if he actually does end up going to Saudi Arabia, because we don't know. Maybe he'll sign him for WrestleMania 40 and they'll come to him and be like, hey, do you want to do Saudi? And he's going to be like, no. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Sticking with WWE, according to CNBC, when Raw moves to Netflix next year, matches will be scripted around commercial breaks for those on the ad-free tier. Meaning if you are on that tier, you will still see the match ongoing, but it won't feature action, quote, important to the outcome. In fairness, almost every single wrestling show kind of adheres to that. If you watch Raw and Smackdown, you get the formula. They bob-a-dee-bob-boop back and forth. One of them falls out of the ring, and then the other one pantomimes to the crowd, and then they go to commercial. They still have commercial breaks. It's just now, because NXT and I think NXT is the only one that does that. I think SmackDown does it. I don't think that's true, because I know Raw doesn't do it. I know NXT does it, and the first time I saw it was with AEW when they do the picture-in-picture. Now, I personally feel like, for now, they're doing the whole commercial break thing, you know, going way back, okay? We're talking 2009, 2010 type deal, where, you know, the rest holds and the submissions and the pantomime on the floor and all that sort of stuff, and then all of a sudden they spring back to life, that type of deal. I think that they're going to start out with that, right? And then as the year goes on, it will then transition into picture-in-picture. I really don't think it's that hard. It's Netflix. Amazon has their own Amazon-specific ads. Netflix can pump out as many ads to Netflix, to other companies, DoorDash, you know what I mean? Stuff like that, delivery, all that sort of stuff, Netflix originals, that sort of deal. It's not going to be that hard for Netflix to do that. I would not even remotely rule that out. So right now, I personally feel like they're going to do the thing with the go back to commercial, come back, that sort of deal. And then next, Monty Perosu is saying, quote, one source close to NJPW's top talent told them Kazuchika Okada is going to WWE and he may start in NXT. For what it's worth, Fightful Select quickly refuted this, saying all that talk is premature and AEW is still in the running to sign him. I want to give a shout out to Fightful Select, who are always coming in as the hall monitor and being like, oh, hold on a minute, in fairness though, they're right. It's not as if AEW just suddenly has no ability anymore, right? It's not like AEW has just ceased to exist. At any moment, and this is the thing, this is the beauty of, wrestling topics such as this, where it's not over until it's over, right? He's not, we can't say exactly where he's going until we turn on the TV or we turn the computer on and we see the article or we catch it on the network, right? I was under the impression, and it's not fully off the table, I'm gonna move it to the side. But it's not fully off the table that he could still go to AEW. I was under the impression that he would go to AEW simply because of the whole visa situation. Doesn't have to get his documents in order, right? And if he went to WWE, he would need to do that. He'd be in a completely different place. He would have to make sure that everything's checked out, all that sort of stuff. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to go anywhere. Now it sounds like he may move to WWE and he may even be on Netflix. I understand why he would be on Netflix, right? You've already got all the eyes on Raw and Smackdown. Get a little bit more, just not a lot. You know what I'm saying? You taste it, okay. Needs a little bit of salt. Not a lot of salt, but a little bit more salt would improve the dish. So we're going to put Okada in there, put a little bit more salt, have him be in a couple matches here. I would see that, and I also feel like the NXT crowd, they're a little bit more smart, more smarky, right? Little marks in the crowd. I feel like a couple of them, they know exactly what's going on. As the casual crowd, they're a little bit more there's a lot more casual sprinkled in, so maybe not a lot of them would understand. But I feel like Netflix, they'd get it, right? They'd be hip to the jive a lot quicker. So I understand a lot of different reasons why you would put him in NXT. I get that, right? I again don't 100% know. I don't 100% know. He could still go to AEW at the time of this recording. He's not 100% signed anywhere, so he could still go to AEW. But it sounds like he's going to WWE. And if he's going to WWE, again, I completely understand why. Moving over to AEW, Andrew Zarian notes that he was told it's, quote, very possible for AEW to become a cable/streaming hybrid show. He said it could look like what the NBA does with TNT and Max. I don't know why I feel like AEW is like drowning right now. I don't know why I have this weird thought in my head where WWE is just like miles and miles ahead of them. And AEW is just sort of like not really changing up too much. I mean, I know that there's rumblings that you got Mercedes Moné and Kazuchika Okada. I think Julia. I think WWE's either way, right? There are rumblings, but I don't know why I just have this feeling that AEW is just not moving as fast as WWE. And I'm not saying that WWE needs to. I'm not saying that AEW needs to just start just throwing shit at a wall to see what sticks, but you got the deal and Rock signing, and you got Okada and Naomi, and you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of, you can see from wherever you're standing that WWE is shifting things into place. They are packing their stuff up, and they are getting ready for the journey that they are about to go on. You've got NXT going on the CW, Raw's now on Netflix. Like, things are being put in place right now, and you can't deny that. You can't. Things are being put in place with WWE right now, and it feels like AEW is just not moving at the same exact pace. It definitely sounds like I'm trying to get AEW to move in the same exact, and I mean like the same, and like stride for stride. It just doesn't feel like AEW is doing a lot in comparison. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't feel like AEW is doing a lot, and that is just my personal opinion. AEW just doesn't really seem like they're really trying to get the ball rolling on anything. It just feels as though Tony Khan is just like, well, if I just keep going the way that I'm going, everything will work out. And the hybrid streaming thing, I feel like is a step in the right direction for them, because I feel like it's something that they need. I feel like, getting more eyes on the product in many different platforms, because that is also going to help too. Instead of staying on cable, trying to get on a streaming platform is also going to help them in the long run as well. And this is why I said, either way, you gotta get in front of it. If you want Okada, if you want Moné, if you want Naomi, you have to step in front. You can't wait. You can't, hesitate or delay it or anything like that. If you know for a fact that this is going to be a massive get for your company, you have to step in front of it, and you have to be willing to take a hit or, spend the money if you know for a fact you can guarantee that this is going to be a fantastic return on investment for your company, okay? That is just how I feel. That is how I feel from the heart, that I feel like AEW is just not hitting it on all cylinders. Not all of them, okay? They've got a lot, right, firing off at the moment, but there's at least like 2 or 3 that they're not just firing off. And again, that's just my personal opinion. Finally, per PW Insider, Kevin Patrick's ousting as lead commentator on Smackdown was a late decision made on Monday night of this week when he was still scheduled to travel for Smackdown on Friday. Hate to see him go, love to watch him leave. Don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here, right? I just want to point out, I don't hate Kevin Patrick, okay? I think he's great. I think for what he was doing, it was all right. Wasn't good enough, but it was all right, okay? I saw this on Twitter and immediately went to the comments because I knew exactly what they were going to say, and pretty much all of them were like, good, that's a good idea. And listen, on the lowest of keys, I agree, okay? Again, Kevin, you're not terrible, okay? But you're not good either. And a lot of people made a very good point that get off the commentary booth and just go back to doing interviews. You know, I think that that's fine. Again, I cannot personally, you know, list off why he just couldn't stick as a commentator. I can't find the words. I can't articulate my feelings as to why, you know, he just didn't fit as a commentator. And that's okay. Okay, because at the end of the day, it's just down to personal preference and opinion. I'm sure there are people out there that had no problem with Kevin Patrick as a commentator, and I'm sure there are people out there who have no problem with, you know, the fact that he did his best and it just didn't work out. Sometimes, Kevin, sometimes that happens. That's perfectly fine. Okay, I'm curious as to who's going to replace him, because you got Wade and Michael, right? And then you had Corey and Kevin. So now I'm curious to see who is going to, you know, be the commentator. I feel like it could be William Regal. I just said William, what? I feel like it could be William Regal. I don't 100% know. He did just show back up on TV at the time of this recording on Tuesday. No, at the time of this upload on Tuesday. And I don't know, I feel like that'd be great. Corey Graves, you know, being the play-by-play, and William Regal being the color commentary. I think that would be a fantastic combination. I'd love to see that. It's not 100% guaranteed. So, yeah, curious to see who's going to take his place. And listen, for what it's worth, Kevin, I don't think you did a terrible job. And I'm so glad you were here with us for the time being, okay? And hopefully we see you backstage on, like, Raw Talk or, you know, as a backstage interviewer. What are we talking about? All right, so The Rock teased WrestleMania 40. Not signed just yet, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to sign. So we're just going to have to wait and see how that turns out. What is it? There are people who are like, oh yeah, okay, so he's going to Saudi. Again, if you don't think that The Rock, being in Saudi Arabia, would not just blow the roof off of that place, I don't know. You're crazy. You're just a crazy person. Romans Netflix. Okay, so there's going to be scripted commercial breaks. It's fine. Happens already. They do, their picture-in-picture is a thing. So I'm assuming that is something that is going to happen at some point down the line, and maybe they're just starting it out with commercial breaks. So I'm expecting a transition. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Okay, so Okada, it sounds like Okada is going to WWE, and it may start on NXT. I was under the assumption that due to his whole making sure that he didn't have to worry about visa issues, that he was going to end up in AEW, but now it sounds like he's going to WWE. It's all down to Okada at the end of the day. I feel like a broken record, but like that's just how it is, right? Terry notes that he was told AEW is becoming a cable streaming hybrid show. Great. I feel like that is a good direction for them to go. I don't want to harp on it too much. I just feel like AEW is just, they're plateauing right now, but that's just my opinion. Again, it's just my opinion. And Kevin Patrick's out, boys. He's out. He's not a commentator anymore. I know. Okay, wipe your tears. It's fine. I'm assuming they're just going to have him be on Raw Talk, or they're just going to have him, you know, be backstage interviewer. Perfectly fine. I think it's a better fit for him anyway. I didn't think he didn't do horrible, but didn't do great. So that's just how it is. Just how it is. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow. And as always, big hugs. Big hugs all around.